Decidero Car is an application that helps you pick the best vehicle for you. You start by setting weights that indicate how important different things are to you when you buy a vehicle. And these fall into four categories: things you want, things you need, affordability, and safety. As we look through the list of things under wants, specific characteristics under wants like open roof style, luxury ride, high status vehicle, you can see all these weights have been set to 0 on the slider. And that's because we're going to start with a very extreme example of a person who only cares about price. So here low initial price has been set to 10, but everything else is 0. Even safety characteristics are 0. So let's see what vehicle Decidero recommends to us under these circumstances. Here's a number of vehicles that we've selected for consideration by picking them from the top 100 list. These are the top 100 sellers in the first half of 2012. So we'll pick the BMW. There's 100 vehicles here to choose from, but we'll just add that one. And it now shows up in our list of vehicles under consideration. By clicking on the BMW 3, we can open up the ratings for that vehicle. And we see here under Needs, seating capacity is set to 5 to 6 passengers. Everything in gold is based on actual data and is provided automatically for the top 100 by Decidero. Items in red, however, which is the accent color for this phone, are ones that are subjective and should be set by the user. So we'll put styling here to above average. And under each of these characteristics, you have the ability to add different things. You can add notes. This is a great way to document your thoughts about a particular characteristic of a certain vehicle. Think of your phone as a notebook that you're writing in about this particular vehicle. You can also add pictures. Maybe you were at the dealership and you saw this car and you saw it in a color you really liked. Well, you could take a picture of that with your camera and it would be available on your camera roll for you to add as documentation under the styling characteristic of that car, and put a caption on the picture so you know what it's about. And then finally there's a search button which automatically loads an intelligent search string for that characteristic, that vehicle, and searches the web for information about it. So if you want to do some more research, this is a quick and easy way to do it. When we back out of the detail page, we see that a paperclip has been added to the styling characteristic so that you know that there's information under there if you want to take a look at it later. You can edit any characteristic, including the ones that are gold provided by Decidero, if you want to change that value. So now let's go to the analysis section and see which vehicle Decidero recommends. At the top of the list is the Kia Rio, and tied with it is the Honda Fit, two relatively inexpensive vehicles under consideration. And then we go down through the list to the very bottom, the most expensive vehicles, which are basically a 1 out of 5, which are the BMW, the Lexus. The analysis section of Decidero Car has two heat maps. A heat map shows with color coding how vehicles perform on two different dimensions. This one shows safety and affordability. A vehicle in the green zone is good on both. A vehicle in the red zone is poor on both. And if it falls in the yellow band, it's a trade-off between one and the other. So here in the far right, we see the less expensive cars who are doing well on affordability. This map shows the interaction of wants and needs, and since we set the weights for these to 0, all the cars are in the center. Now let's do a different scenario. Let's do a scenario where all the buyer cares about is off-road performance. So we'll set off-road capability to 10 and put initial price back to 0. So there's only one thing that matters here, and that's off-road performance. With just that change in the weights, now the scores that are calculated for each of the vehicles has changed. And the vehicle that's going to score highest here is the Jeep Wrangler because that has the best off-road rating. So here's our rank report now, and the Jeep Wrangler's at the top, 5 out of 5. We go down through some vehicles that have some off-road capability, and at the very bottom of the list we have our performance vehicles and our luxury sedans. When we look at our heat map, here's safety and affordability. These have all been set to 0, so all the vehicles are now in the center on this map. But when we look at wants and needs, now we see the vehicles arrayed across the needs category, which is where off-road is, with the Jeep being at the far right-hand side. But both of these scenarios are very extreme and not likely to be the kind of scenario you would be doing with Decidero Car. So let's do something more realistic. Let's set the weights for an upscale retiree who travels a lot. They care about styling, so we'll set that to a high level. They care about integrated in-car technology because they want to be able to listen to their iPod while they're traveling. They want a luxurious ride, and they like to have a high-status vehicle. They don't need a lot of seating capacity because they aren't taking kids with them at this point, but they do want a lot of interior cargo space for their luggage. They want to be able to go off-road sometimes, and they'd like to have good fuel economy, but realistically, they don't think they're going to be able to get the vehicle they want and get fuel economy too. On affordability, all they really care about is high resale value because they trade their car in every couple years. And safety is very important, so it gets high ratings, high importance weights, and some snow traction is necessary. So let's see what Decidero says about this set of priorities. Now at the top of the rank report, we see the Lexus RX, which is an SUV, a luxury SUV. We see other luxury cars. We see other large vehicles like the van. And then we go down through the list, and at the very bottom we see the smallest vehicles and the lower status vehicles. On the constraint heat map, we see a much bigger spread in the vehicles because this is a more realistic representation of what happens in real life. Here the Rio is in the red zone, so we have an option right on the map to press on it and delete it and remove it from consideration. And on the desires map, we can see that once again the majority of the vehicles fall in the yellow zone, the trade-off zone, but here's our Lexus RX, which is actually into the green zone and a good choice for this particular type of buyer. Decidero Car has some information resources. There's a getting started guide that will tell you how to start up your first analysis. And there are a variety of third-party sources that you connect directly to their sites, and you can collect information from an objective third party about any given vehicle. And then there's share capabilities where you can share either the Decidero app with your friends and family, or you can share your actual decision. And here the 2013 Lexus RX is substituted into the message automatically as the best car for you.